Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Season 2 of So Tell Me with Phil Bhojwanay, the show where questions about society and its utter stupidity are based on my mood for the day. My guest today is Nate Herman. Nate is a Chicago-based writer, performer, director, and musician who began his career with the then-famous Second City. Following Second City, Nate went out to write for the long-running hit show Saturday Night Live, for which he served as staff writer for 4 seasons. In addition to all that, he is part of the band Wilderness Road, along with his musical partner Warren Learning. Yes, sir.
Lemming. Leming.
Lenning, yes. Which raises money for the Chicago 7 defense team.
We did. That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Nick can be seen today teaching at IO Chicago, and is currently not anymore. Okay, wow,
Nope.
The introduction is going astray, but is currently writing for What the Fuck News America. I think that's what it is, right?
WTF.
WTF, sorry. A comedy news television program. Welcome to the show, Nate. How are you?
Thank you.
How's it going?
It's going wonderfully well, primarily because I'm on my 3rd martini.
Well, that's all right. That sounds like a regular you then. Nothing's changed from the last 3 years.
It does. It certainly does.
Now, for the 3 or 4 people that listen to the show, you woke me up at 5 a.m. this morning just to have when I had prompted you for days upon days to get me the your bio and send me your Skype name, but no, you had to keep it to the last minute.
Phil,
Yes.
you have to know that I am the president and charter member of LMP, Last Minute Productions. So, of course, this was done today because last night, as you know, I was out celebrating my birthday with some friends and got
I did not know that until now.
Blind drunk, so I couldn't get in touch with you last night.
I did not know that until now, so my sincere apologies for that, but a very happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
And how old would you be today?
I would be 37.
37.
If I were lying, I would be 37.
It's the same age as me. Okay, so then I have to be about 77. So okay, we'll take it from there.
I'm 70. As of January 22nd, I turned 71.
Wow, 71, and
wow.
You look it, yeah?
What? And I don't look it. No, you can't see me.
I can't, but I can feel the voice is really sort of exasperating at the moment. What's the not confections?
The amazing thing is that you and I,
yes,
despite the disparity in our ages, are still friends.
Yes, that's because I have your mentality and you have mine, so we sort of.
That I don't know whether that's saying good for either of us.
Well, I see that you still. I hear that you still have the infectious laugh. So I always miss that about you because whenever you laughed, you lit up a room. I remember that in class all the time. Speaking of class, I mean, do you miss me in it? I mean, anyone special to come along yet?
I miss you terrible. I wish you were here in where civilization actually exists instead of out there wherever the hell you are. I wish you were here and we could still be getting together and laughing.
I know, I miss it too, my friend. I remember the very first day I sort of walked in, and this was 3 years ago. This year, and it was just typical. Nothing's changed apparently. It was sort of Alex is sitting over here looking at me. I'm telling the story. I just walked into the class. We had about 9 people in there, and his very first thing was he spent about 45 minutes just talking to us about shit, and we had paid for the class, and 45 minutes just went like that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over here? This guy's. I mean, am I paying him to talk to me? I don't need a psychiatrist. I need to learn how to do this. And when we finally get to the learning part of learning how to write the jokes and whatnot, this is what he does. I kid you not. All right, here's a newspaper. Write 10 jokes. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, if this is how the class is, sink or swim, I can do this in the swimming pool by myself. I don't need this. But I tell you why he did that, though. I remember why, and now I know why. It's because he wanted to show us that you have to always, you got to look at the paper, dig deep, come up with a joke from there. Anyone can do it. That was the whole point to his classroom antics, I would say, at least. Also, right?
That first 45 minutes, which some people, and including you, figured out, was part of the class.
Yes.
And it was for us to get to know each other better, and for us to find a common ground, and for us to find a mode of conversation. And it was not just us flailing around linguistically. It was for us to find each other's voices.
Absolutely.
And it really helped well. And I think you, among the others who did catch on, realized that is what was going on.
Oh, I completely did. I mean, I was, whatever, the cosmos sort of worked it out for me. So, I mean, I was meant to be in that classroom, and look at me
You
today. I'm a
were.
big star, bigger than everyone else.
That's
Said,
right.
and
You and your 3 listeners.
me and my 3 or 4 listeners who are very, very big people at Warner Brothers. So,
Well, how many Warner Brothers are there? 2, 3? I don't know.
uh,
I used to be on Warner Brothers. I used to be on Warner Brothers
there's a
Records.
pair of twins, and there's 2 other brothers. One was adopted, and one was just a regular person altogether. So,
Mm-hmm.
just making up as I go along. That's improv for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Nate, what's happened? You're not at IO anymore. Can you fill me in on that a little bit?
Well, what happened was back last a year from this past October,
Yep.
Ginny and I, my wife and I, moved from our Chicago apartment to another one because our landlord,
Mm-hmm.
who was God bless his soul, a devout Christian, kicked us out.
Oh no.
And and apparently claimed that we had too much stuff, and he was living in the basement, and he thought that it was going to come crashing down around his head. So he kicked us out, and there we were after living there for a while, having to find another apartment, which through the grace of God and some other friends we did. And we found this great apartment on the far north side of Chicago, Rogers Park. If any of the 3 of you who are listening know Chicago, you'll know Rogers Park. Found this great big apartment, and now this great big apartment is cluttered with all the stuff we had. But the nice thing about it is that no one lives below us. So if in fact it does come crashing down, no one will get killed.
Wonderful. So, I mean, things have worked out for the best, I think, then, isn't it?
Yep, it did. And because we were making this major move, and it was a major move, it was too hard for me to do the classes at the same time. So I temporarily quit the classes, and then after having temporarily quit the classes, I found that I really didn't, after 6 years, feel like going back to doing the classes, and neither did the fellow who had started the classes, Michael McCarthy, God bless him.
Oh, he's not back there, is he?
What's that?
He's not gone back, has he?
No, he has.
He has, okay.
But he was very happy that I hadn't, because he was more than happy to take over all the classes.
Right.
And it's now called Michael McCarthy's comedy, which in fact it was. He
Right.
created the comedy
Program.
writing workshop, and did a great job.
Yeah.
And was nice enough to allow me to do it for 6 years. So I bear him no ill will. I made my livelihood doing it for 6 years, and I got to meet a lot of great people, you among them, and had a good time doing it.
Wow. So it looks like I just made it for the last batch of people to work, well, study under you, I guess, under your tutelage.
Yes.
And,
Also, the funny thing was, toward the end, he produced a demo for a comedy pilot that he had written about improvisation, and one of the characters in it was based on Del Close. And so I wrote him and I said, if you don't hire me for the part, I'll kill you.
what do you say?
I said, if you don't hire me for the part, I'll kill you.
I know, but what?
And so he
did. Okay.
We did the pilot, and it came out great.
Right.
Nothing really came of it, but the fellow who produced the pilot was the fellow who subsequently produced the WTF show that I'm now on.
Right.
So it worked out terrifically.
Okay, that sounds. So has the pilot? Has it already aired on what a particular channel in the States, or it's just a?
We're still hoping for someone to pick it up, but if and when that actually comes to be, I will let you know. It's a funny show.
Right.
And yeah, hello, are you there?
I'm there. We're just having a bit of a slight reception problem, but we're back. We're good to go. So what exactly is the show about?
It was a show about a young woman who comes to Chicago to join a part of the company at a company much like IO.
Right.
And it was a funny little half hour.
All right.
And he gave me a nice part, me being Del, in which I was appropriately loony.
Right.
And then I took it and did a little rewriting on it, and we've come up with a really nice half-hour show about a place much like IO, which is called, in the show, it's called the Aardvark. And
Aardvark.
the Aardvark, and hopefully somebody will be foolish enough to put money into it and make it into a half-hour sitcom.
Now, when did you guys shoot this?
Oh, this was a couple of years back.
Oh, it's a couple of years back. Okay. So it's been it's been 3 years since I've been last there. I actually have Michael McCarthy on my Facebook as well. I do keep in touch every now and then, but like you said, he's very, very busy with a lot of things.
No, Michael is, God bless him, he is a workaholic.
Right.
And has lost several lives because of it. Oops, I'm sorry. And he can't. Both his parents were academics, and they instilled that in him. And he really, he's terrific at what he does, but he just does it all the time. And no one can say to him, Michael, just stop, go. Just stop.
Yeah,
for a while.
He's one of those guys that has to work. Yeah, his mind is constantly working, so he has to work
non-stop.
Yeah.
The problem is he's very good at what he does.
He is. He's
no reason why he shouldn't be doing it, but for his health and for his sanity, he really should.
Well,
back off
I think that's why he does it, though. It's for his health and sanity. I think that's why he does it. So
I love him dearly. He's a great guy, and he's really terrific, and he's good at everything he does.
Right.
But I just wish he would learn to take some time off and relax for a while.
Well, much like you.
I don't think he's capable of doing that.
Perhaps not. But Michael aside, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your band. How is that coming along? Because my guy over here, Alex, who's my sound engineer and he edits with me, he is actually a musician, and his band called Slowly Slowly recently played at the Australian Open last week.
How cool!
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
So,
great. How was it? Alex, are you there?
Alex, come and say hi.
How's it going?
Have a few words with.
Hi. How did it go? Tell me.
Oh, it was great. It was an extremely hot day. It was 35 degrees, which I think in your speak is about 100.
Yeah.
About 100. So it was right in the middle of summer. It was great. Great crowd, and yeah, it was good fun.
Oh, great. What kind of music do you guys play?
Oh man, I don't know. It's a bit rocky. It's a bit. It's a hard question.
He doesn't mean Sylvester Stallone, by the way. All right.
No. That's we always suffered the same thing. They asked us, "What do you play?"
Yeah.
And we were ill prepared to define what we played because we had met at Second City, Warren and I, and so we infused our shows with comedy bits.
Yeah,
and during the evening, people had no idea what we were doing or why we were doing it. And we did the same thing on the two albums on the second album that we did. And for those people who liked it, they loved it. And for the rest of most of the audience went along with it. And they thought, well, these guys are going to stop doing this silly stuff and eventually get back to playing.
Musical improv.
Which we did.
That was it. So you had the so Alex and you both musicians, and you of course doing the music for many years now. What genre was it that you did? Was it folk music?
It was sort of a countryish rock.
Right.
The closest thing would be if you combined the Byrds with the Firesign Theater.
All right, that sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it?
That would be it. Warren, who was my partner in the band, went on after the band broke up to do about a year on National Public Radio, where every week we would do a once a week comedy bit on All Things Considered.
Right, and
how did it go? It was wonderful. It was wonderful, and. Then after that, pretty much immediately after that, I went on to write for Saturday Night Live.
All right, I'm glad you mentioned that because before I had segued to that, you'd already done it for me, so perfect timing. That's exactly why you had good comic timing, I guess. Can you tell us a few stories about back in the day? Because you were there, in the 1970s, wasn't it?
No, it was 1980 through 1985.
Wow.
And it was a great, God, Eddie Murphy was our anchor. And he was 18 when we started,
right? But
had uncanny ability to just look into a camera and make the camera melt, and people would watch him and just go, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh!" And he was unbelievable. He was also the nicest guy there was, and we had a great cast behind him. We had Julia Louis-Dreyfus, we had Tim Kazurinsky, we had Mary Gross, and then for our fourth year, the blowout year, we had Harry Shearer and Chris Guest and Rich Hall and oh, please help me, Billy Crystal, and it was an amazing year.
You just
and Eddie was still there, and that was the year that, although he will not admit it, Lorne Michaels, who was not our producer during those 4 years, Lorne had left. Mm-hmm. Our producer was the fellow who had been the NBC sports producer, Dick Ebersol.
That's right.
Lorne Michaels said to Dick, you are responsible for keeping Saturday Night Live alive.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was because of those 4 years, and especially that last year, which was, in fact, probably the best year Saturday Night Live ever had. That last year was about, I think, 1984, 85. Marty Short was on it. It was an amazing year.
It was a cast like no other. You won't get any
like no other ever that Saturday Night Live had ever had.
And you were part of that, weren't you? I mean, so I would want to point that out.
It was wonderful. It was just wonderful. Oh, the writers. Let me tell you the writers. The fellow who invented the show, Andy Breckman, who invented the show Monk, was one of the writers. Larry David was one of the writers.
Yes, I remember that. Larry David was one. I remember that.
The lady who was the head writer on Designing Women, Pam Norris, was one of the writers. The lady who became the head writer on Married with Children, Elaine Fogel, was one of the writers.
That's right.
I mean, we have had an amazing writing staff. I liken it to the writing staff in the best years of the Sid Caesar original Your Show shows. I mean, it was that good of a writing staff.
I completely agree, and I know that you have some stories about from back then, because you were a little bit of a hothead, weren't you?
I have. Oh, thank you very much. Isn't that nice of you to bring that up?
Well,
there was one story of why they, while we were there, took to chaining. We were working on something that people don't know about now: typewriters, and ours were the IBM Selectric typewriters, with a little ball in the middle with rotating types. Well, after a while, they took to chaining them to the desks. And apparently it was because of an incident I had with the head writer, or the fellow who imagined himself to be head writer. And we had an argument, and then I took the typewriter and opened the window. We were on the 17th floor, and tossed it out. Now, thankfully, and I didn't know this at the time, there was a ledge on the 8th floor. Otherwise, someone on the main floor of 49th Street
would have been dead.
Would have had their head caved in by this flying typewriter.
That's right.
But it never happened because of that ledge. And also, because of that incident, all the typewriters in the writers' rooms became attached by chains to their desk.
So you were the man that sparked a million typewriters on a desk. That's what you were. You were like Nate of Troy. Right? Hello Troy, Nate of SNL did everything. So for the rest of everyone else's lives, thanks to Nate Herman, all the other writers have had to suffer throughout the years.
I make life better for everyone.
You do. I actually thought that you did that at Second City once, did you? And if you did that.
Okay, now this is legend, and I don't remember it. Apparently, as the story goes, one time I took a potted plant that was in an office and tossed it out the window of the second floor, which just narrowly missed hitting, who was it on the head?
I'm hoping you'd say one of the directors there today.
No, one of the fellows who was on Saturday Night Live, a wonderful guy. I'll think of his name by the time we finish. Phil, Eric, Bob, Steve, Bob, Ed. Anyways, this fellow was walking down the street, and this plant comes right down, crashing in front of him. And had he, been walking a bit faster, it would have killed him.
Oh my.
Now, to my credit, don't remember having done this, but apparently he said it was true and it had happened. So that became part of, the legend of Second City.
The legend of Nate Herman at Second City, but now Second City is not what it used to be, was it? I mean, back in the day, it was something special. Today, it's just become a bit of
back in the day, it was a small neighborhood comedy club, sort of a mom and pop comedy club. Now, of course, it's become a factory, and it churns out thousands, literally thousands of people per year, all of whom are going there thinking that, of course, they're going to be the next comedy star on Saturday Night Live. And, they're brought in expecting that, and they pay, I don't know what, $300 per class. And it's sad in that the familial quality of the place that used to be the sustenance of the place is gone, is completely gone. And now it's just all mechanized, and now it just feels like Tim Meadows. That was the fellow who was walking down the street.
Oh
by
my
the way.
God. I remember Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows swears that this plant came crashing down in front of his head. And now it's become, they are making quite literally millions and millions of dollars a year off of what is now known as the Second City Conservatory. Back when I started, there were no classes. Bernie Sahlins, a fellow who owned the place back then, used to say, and I will do the Bernie impersonation that everybody else does, you can't teach this stuff. If the people don't know how to do it, you can't teach it.
Absolutely.
And finally, they agreed to having a couple of people teach it. Donnie DePolo was one of them. And they had a couple of classes. That is what started, developed into what was called the training center, and then developed into what is now called the conservatory. And they have taken over the entire area where the Second City once was a small part of.
Right.
And it is not what it used to be.
Absolutely not. Sorry to cut you off, Nate. I sorry to cut you off. I think I don't know whether you remember this, but about 3 years ago, I think I told you. I do remember. Yeah, I had a bit of a kerfuffle with a bit of a debacle with one of the directors over there, and I got sort of. You said to me that I was the last. I remember your words because you said I was. There's only a few of me left who will actually stand up to the bullshit of.
God bless you, and God bless you for doing it. You carried on. You carried on my tradition.
I know, and that's why we remain friends, because you took my side. You took my side, and I was so happy. I was like. I stood up for what I thought was right, and you said, last cowboy. What's the phrase? The cowboy, right? Yeah. So, I was glad to hear that, but it's not what it was, and it's very sad to see, because everything has changed to such politically correct.
Had you been there when I was there, you would have been in with us. You were perfect for the company, but. Just that interim period devolved into what it is now, and the sad thing is they could have used your talents there.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much, Nate. I appreciate that. My talents are now being used. I think I mentioned to you in Vietnam, so hopefully I can bridge the gap over there between Asia and America and have something going.
And you can hopefully ascertain that America will never be there again. Thanks to you.
No,
thanks.
You'll be surprised. Actually, my comedy is refined in the last 3 years.
You stopped yelling?
I've stopped shouting. I've stopped being overly aggressive, but I've still kept the same undertone towards everything. But it's more refined. But I've had to be that way. I mean, with Donald Trump in the White House, you have to sort of take a step back because he's the king, isn't it?
Oh God! Please, let's not.
All right.
No more.
We won't talk about Donald Trump. And can you believe we've actually already done a good solid 25 minutes, Nate? I have a last question that I ask all my guests, and I'm very, very keen to ask you this. And the question is, as a society, what were we, what are we now, and what do you see us going into the future?
I don't know that we were ever any better than we are now. I lived through the Nixon era. I lived through the Reagan era. And I think we are seeing once again a recap of that time. I was, of course, and then this brings back Wilderness Road, because we had formed during the Chicago protests, specifically during the Chicago 7 trial. We formed to raise money for them. And as a band, we were an underground a band that worked with the Chicago community to make knowledgeable the notion that community interests were our interests, were American interests, and that we had to, in every aspect, get together and work to make the country decent. We did some of it in the 60s, not enough, despite what you read. And I sense that now that feeling is coming back, and it has to. It has to. That community feeling, that feeling of we all have to be together and work toward bringing our country back to being the country that it can be, the country that includes everyone, the country that is accessible to everyone. And I think, despite what the Republican troops are doing, I think we can all get together in the same way that we did back in the 60s and do a massive public, not demonstration, because demonstrations do very little, but a massive public outcry. And I think we will be able to, God willing, bring this country back to what it should be and what it can be.
You're absolutely right, and I really hope that things do sort of touch on from where you from what you just said in America, because things have to change for the best, and I really hope that it does.
What do you? You're halfway around the world.
I have to say something. What do you mean to say? You want me to say? What do you mean to drop my pants and fire a rocket like Don Rickles says? See, I love that laugh. That was what I was waiting for.
So nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nate, for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. I hope that things are going well. I assume they're going well, and I think they're going well, and I hope to see you on the other side of the world, on either side, soon, my friend.
I hope to see you soon. Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Cheers.